Hi, this is Three Men and a Whiskey, and we are on Google Meet. We're meeting via Google. Other video conferencing apps are available. We decided to get together because we are going to watch a movie, and I got pretty lonely this Christmas watching movies all on my own. So we're going to watch a movie together as part of the Christmas whiskey movie mashup type thing that we've been doing. So we're going to watch Red One because I thought it was really useful for us to watch a movie that is new. I've been watching lots of old Christmas classics, and it'd be nice to watch a brand new, out in the last few weeks, Christmas movie for 2024 to see if that is going to become a modern Christmas classic. What do you think, Pete? Is Red One going to become a modern Christmas classic?
Do you know what? I'm going to be the optimist. I think it's going to be a modern classic. Not only is it going to be a modern classic, it's going to be The Rock at the peak of his acting prowess, and
really,
it can blow us away. I decided that I don't agree with reviews nowadays. They don't agree with me. So all the reviews have been a bit iffy, but I think this is going to be a great film. Yeah.
What about you, JD?
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, but it's about 2 hours long. So that for me is, for a comedy film, is quite a long time to try and keep yourself amused for. I can only do 10 minutes at a time, to be fair. But I think, yeah, it should be good. The Rock should be good. Most of the stuff that he's in tends to be quite entertaining anyway. So we'll see.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. We will see. I mean, it does have Chris Evans in it as well, and as much as I like Chris Evans as Captain America, that guy has a reputation for being in really bad films. So, but fingers crossed, we'll see. So obviously, this time, instead of just me pairing a whiskey, we've all paired a whiskey with Red One. Who wants to go first? JD, did you want to go first with your?
Yeah. So going with the theme of Red One, I thought I'd try and find something that was red, but a lot of whiskeys can be finished in a red wine. I didn't think that would be unique enough, so I've gone for a red box. It's the Milsean from Glenmorangie. That's Gaelic for sweet things, and it's from the private edition of Glenmorangie. Dr. Bill Lumsden created this one, and I'm really looking forward to it. It should be very sweet, tropical fruit, sherbet, some ginger spice. So hopefully it should be quite nice.
Cool.
There we go. Very, very nice indeed.
Looks good. Looks red. You're red. So we're completely set.
Yeah.
What about you, Pete?
Okay then. So although I'm being optimistic about this film, I'm also not entirely sure what it's going to be. So what I brought is something I delved into my collection. It's called the Burnt Ends blended whiskey.
Wow.
So it's a smooth Tennessee rye whiskey. It's peated and sherry finished, and it's a blend. And the reason why I'm confused about it is because I'm sure if I read the notes, I'd know what was going on with it, but I'm not sure if it's meant to taste like burnt ends, where you're meant to cook with it to make burnt ends, whether you drink it with burnt ends, or whether, I don't know, something else really. So I don't know what to expect from it. I think I have opened it, but I could not remind myself. I've got no idea what this is like. So which is a bit like the film. So that's why I picked that one. And it's got a red label as well. There you go.
It does look like something that you would find in the pharmacy, though.
Yeah, from 1892. Yeah, with some pork and beans next to it. Yeah, probably.
They've not modernised that label, have they? That one's definitely traditional.
Ultra traditional, just ready for a traditional Christmas movie. Although I do fancy some burnt ends right now.
That's the thing, you see, because you look at it and you think, I really want some burnt ends, but then you got this whiskey. So hopefully sates the feeling of burnt ends, because they're like the best thing you can eat here, almost, aren't they?
Yeah. For another time. Cool. I've done something similar, Pete, in that I've gone for something that I know nothing about, and I don't know whether it's going to be good or bad, because I was struggling for a link with this film as well. So I've gone for an Australian whiskey called Coastal Stone. Maybe you can see that. Coastal Stone. It came through the Somerton Club. Now they sent an Australian whiskey, the very first Australian whiskey I've ever had, a couple of years ago, through the Somerton Club. They sent me one, and I was like, "Oh, Australian whiskey, is that going to be not good?" And it was amazing. It was the Starward Fortis, and honestly, it was brilliant. The bottle did not last long. It was great. So I'm going to go for this. I don't know what to expect. Coastal Stone. It's a pretty small, but it's a cute bottle. It's got lots of little, knobbly bits on it. If that helps. And it's been matured in a selection of ex-bourbon, sherry, port, and Phoenix French oak casks. So, we shall see. 48%. It's got at the bottom. It's got a little tagline that says pear, candied ginger, and honey. So I'll be looking out for that. We'll see.
I have had a few comments saying that I don't get drunk enough on these things, apparently, and people want to see us getting a little bit drunk. So I have brought out something else that I'm going to have during this. It's from I subscribe to the Abbeydale Brewery beers, and they send out this big one every month as well. So this is called Glug Pale Ale. So it's inspired by Glugger, I think that's how you pronounce it, one of Iceland's Yule lads, but with a shortened name to make it easier to order at the bar in case people have indulged in a little too much Christmas cheer. So we'll see how that goes as well. But I'm going to have that during the film. It's 2 hours. I think I probably will be part of the way down it in 2 hours. I think I'll probably get my way through it with that 2 hours. So yeah, I've got that as well to have, and I'll report back on that as well.
Sounds good. All right. Well, we're going to go and watch the film. We're all going to watch it separately. We're not doing any. We're not doing a watch party. We did think about doing that, but that can get tricky as well. We're not the most technical people. So we're going to go watch it, and then we'll come back and we'll all give our own little ratings and see if we can figure out an average. And we'll post our ratings for our whiskies as well. I'm going to crack mine open now. So cool. All right. We will see you all in a bit.
Nice.
All right. We're back. We've watched Red One with Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Chris Evans and J.K. Simmons. Didn't see that. I didn't. That was interesting. What people's thoughts? Who wants to start?
Do you want to go, Pete?
Go on then. So it was pretty good, actually. I'm not sure if I'd say it was a classic. It had some kind of, you can tell it's very modern. I mean, I know JD don't really watch many superhero films, but it's got that kind of element to it. I mean, without giving too much away, it's got this whole thing with the North Pole. It reminded me of Wakanda, really. It was all like everything had loads of high technology, and it's kind of a bit like, I think Arthur Christmas was the last one that tried to do that. That was going back a few years now. It had Krampus in it, which always gets points in my book. It had, like you say, J.K. Simmons. It also had Kiernan Shipka, who's from Sabrina, as a villain, and she was very good, actually. She was very good. It was entertaining. It was a little on the long side, as we discussed before, but it was fun. Let me just see what else I can just add to that from my notes.
Oh, you did notes.
I actually did write notes. I tell you what it reminded me of. It reminded me of Men in Black, actually.
I could see that.
Okay.
I could see that.
Yeah, just heavy inspiration from Men in Black, and I think what might have set this film back, because it's got mixed to poor reviews. It's not a children's film. That's the thing. It's not really a children's film, and I suppose the adults that are watching it, it's a Christmas film, so they're going to be divided over it. So I think if you go into it, not expecting too much, it's pretty good. And Chris Evans is quite good as a kind of schlummy like nobody. I mean, that he surprised me. So yeah, pretty good.
It's a 12 rating, isn't it? According to the
12 rating.
I think 12. Yeah. Kind of. Yeah, it's in the middle, isn't it? From that side of things. So you could either go very children orientated, like Santa Claus the movie, or you could go completely the opposite and go kind of 15, 18 style. But this has kind of gone in the middle, isn't it? To try and get that audience.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've just come off the back of watching 3 80s Christmas classics, which were aimed at grown-ups. I watched Scrooged, Trading Places, and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, which I actually thought was aimed more at kids, but it isn't. I'd forgotten. It is definitely more for adults. And yeah, I guess those are examples of movies that were successful, but they weren't all they didn't always have great reviews at the beginning. They became classics over time. And genuinely, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good fun. I agree. It was a bit overly long, but interestingly, I did check Rotten Tomatoes, and it's one of those. It's 30% rating from the critics. It's a 90% rating from the audience.
Okay. It's another one of those cases that don't believe the critics. Yeah,
maybe one of those.
Yeah. No, I thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought it was really entertaining. Actually, the length of it didn't bother me so much. I'm not a fan of long movies, but it didn't really bother me that much. I did think that you mentioned Chris Evans. I did think he was a bit of a weak link, personally. In the movie, it didn't seem as if, like, Dwayne Johnson, very good. I think most stuff that he's in tends to be fairly good anyway. He's got the money backing behind him, but Chris Evans didn't quite do it for me. But each to their own on that.
I just think he was playing against his type, really. Whereas Dwayne Johnson, however good he is, he didn't pull any of those excessive arm muscles in his acting to do that role there. He was the same as he always is, and that's me coming from a position of liking Dwayne Johnson. So, but and as for the length, it was more for me. It was more like the middle bit was somewhat a bit slower, but that's usually how it goes. Some fun facts for you, Nige. You know who the guy who played Krampus was?
Go on.
It was Tormund from Game of Thrones.
Oh, was it really? Oh, big guy.
Yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah, I think. I think the main reason why Dwayne didn't get his muscles out is because it was all about J.K. Simmons' muscles. Because how ripped was he?
Yeah.
Fair play. Not seen that before in a Santa movie. So I was into that. So are we going to rate it? Are you going to rate it out of my random 12 Days of Christmas?
I would give it a 9 personally.
Okay.
I think it's up there. I don't think it'll become a classic. I think it's too long. I was to become a classic, because those classics that we come back to time and time again tend to be at the hour-and-a-half mark.
No, that's fair. It's fair. But you, Pete?
I think I'm going to give it. Does your score have half marks? I do forget.
I mean, that's harder with this because it's like it's 9 ladies dancing, and it's 10, whatever that is.
Can't have 9.5 ladies dancing, can you?
Okay, in that case, I'll go with 8, and the reason why I go with 8 is because It was thoroughly enjoyable. It was pretty decent. Had some good acting in it. I think I think it is going to be like those 80s films, and that it's going to date, because I think it's very much tied up in modern filmmaking and superhero stuff and the way it's formulaic a bit.
Yeah.
I think coming back to it, it won't get any better. But then, and what else? Oh yeah, I also thought that it didn't have loads and loads of laughs, and it had some, but it could have had more, and they didn't all land. And but on the other hand, it had some good acting. It had some nice locales. I quite liked, the Hawaii style area in Germany and the darker side. And I like the kind of like the Men in Black thing. And they could do other films in this kind of vein, but they probably won't, given the box office return. So yeah, I'll go with an 8.
For me, I think I'd probably give it an 8 as well. Is Maids of Milking. I know my list now. I've been well into it now. 8 Maids of Milking. But I would actually agree that I think the classic thing is, having watched quite a few of these films recently, to make it a classic, it needs to be either like ultra poignant, really sweet and almost sappy to that extent, like your, Miracle on 34th Street or whatever, or It's a Wonderful Life, or all that kind of stuff. Or it needs to be really funny, so like, again, things like Scrooge didn't do very well in terms of the critics' reviews, I think, originally, but it's become a Christmas classic. I think it's because it's very funny, and it's funny for adults. Trading Places was similar, I think. And so I think you need that. The lack of comedy, I think, is the only problem with it for me, in terms of it becoming a movie that you'd watch and rewatch. But I enjoyed it. It's maybe not got the Christmas rewatchability of some.
So you could watch Snow White, like that remake of Snow White, where they were doing all the stuff, and it's very, very similar to that kind of vein.
Yeah, and it probably links back to what Pete's saying about kind of Marvel movies and superhero movies. It's like one of the reasons why they've probably gone off the boil so much is that they're quite serious. They're quite overly serious, when really what we're talking about is quite silly things, really. So
I quite liked how they had like loads of different CGI things. Like they had the penguin was doing something, and there was a polar bear, and trolls and all that kind of thing. That was all very inventive. I quite enjoyed that part of it.
Yeah.
You kind of, you're right. It wasn't outright comedy, and it doesn't have to be comedy, but there was some like one-off lines that were kind of funny, but it was missing a bit. Yeah.
So what about our Whisky?
Well, I actually caught myself another one. Whether that's because I had the beer as well, I don't know. But the whiskey itself, very, very sweet, very much like a candy cane, and really went well with a Christmas movie. Cool. Loved it. Absolutely loved it. So 9 out of 10 for me.
9 out of 10. Good score. That's a bottle to be picked up.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't think you can get them very much. I think, wasn't it, you gave it to me, Pete, didn't you?
I did, yeah. It was a good few years back they launched that one, and it was we had it at a tasting once, and I bought it after the tasting, and I think it might have been received a bit like medium at the tasting, but it is a very sweet one, and it does kind of grow on you a bit, and it was a really nice one. It is harder to get now, actually.
Yeah. I think it's about 150 quid nowadays. That one.
I didn't pay that for it.
No, not at the time. No.
Secondary market and all that, but again, I mean, 9 out of 10. Good score.
9 out of 10. Yeah, really good.
What about you, Pete?
I can't make my mind up about this burnt ends. I mean, I'm not really. It's hard to say because I'm not really a rye drinker, so I'll say that this is meant to be a blend of Scotch and American whiskies. Very high on the palate. It gets you right in the sinuses, which is helpful for me because my sinuses aren't great at the moment. It's also it's kind of young tasting, which I was expecting. No, it is meant to be smooth. It's 45%. I don't know how much. I couldn't drink too much of this, though, I have to say. So I would say for a rye, it's not bad. So I'd say 6 out of 10 for me. 6 out of 10, yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah. Was it reasonably cheap?
Yeah, it was on the cheaper end. Yeah.
So again, that's not, again, it's you kind of, sometimes you get what you pay for, don't you? I mean, it's like 6 out of 10 if it's reasonably cheap isn't that bad at all.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was musing about it. I think you could cook with this actually quite well. That's not a negative. That's a positive.
Barbecue burnt ends. That'd be perfect. Yeah.
Fair enough. I'm into that. And my Coastal Stone, I also poured a second one because first, you remember that whiskey we did? I can't remember which one it was now, but I was a bit insulting because I said it was like wet feet or wet socks
feet.
Or something. Yeah. I got the same kind of initial hit from this, where I was like, oh, that's a bit. I wasn't expecting that. But then I had a little bit more, as I got into the movie, and I was like, oh, this is growing on me. This is actually all right. I think it's just an initial, I don't know. I need to figure out what the official term for wet feet taste is. But that's what I got initially. But it's grown on me, and I poured a second one. So I'm into this.
Okay.
It's not bad. And again, for a new distillery, it's only been around for a couple of years. It's so funny. It's vintage. It's vintage 2022, right? So that's
wow.
It is, isn't it? They could probably knock it out in 3 months.
70s and 80s then. Jeez. Wow. What are we classed as?
I know.
Really antiques.
Very old. So yes, I'm gonna I'll give it a 7. I'll give it a 7 out of 10, which I think is for a new distillery on the other side of the planet, which isn't renowned for its whiskey. It's more of a a surfing place and a barbecue place. Then I'll,
but they did have a whiskey in the movie, didn't they? It was a Bullet, I think.
They did.
When Chris Evans was in the bathtub after a night drinking a bottle, it was a Bullet. Yeah, Bullet bourbon. So
Bullets, yeah, I should have been drinking Bullets.
That product placement there. Oh yeah.
But yeah, no McDonald's or Coke product placement, so we were okay. Which is disappointing for you, Pete, because it means that our scores for this haven't yet brought it down below what I gave Santa Claus the movie.
Oh yeah, of course.
But I was waiting for Super Duper Looper, to be honest, during it.
It's far too powerful, that slaying those reindeer for a Super Duper Looper, I think.
Who would win, Santa Claus the movie, the Santa from that movie, or Santa from this one?
I mean, JK was pretty ripped, wasn't he? I mean,
he was, yeah.
I mean, those reindeer were like 10 foot tall each or something.
It was like
his plane was like went to warp and stuff. So it's like no comparison, really.
I was into that. I was into. I liked the little bit of lore that they put into it, and I did like the fact that they took some lore from other places, like Icelandic lore and the the Krampus stuff as well. I thought that was that was pretty nice actually.
That's good.
Cool, excellent. Well, I think probably good to leave it there. It's getting late, and we'll all be woken up very early, I'm sure, by kids. So we'll leave it there, gents. Thanks for that. I'll get all this uploaded, and cool. Thanks everyone.
See you again.
Yeah, thanks a lot.